message out of office, so when people email me, they know I'm leaving and stuff like that. So all my friends have been sending me all this stuff about being retired. And this is one of the better ones right here. He sent me senior citizen bumper stickers. Some of these are R-rated. I might not want to do some of them. Young at heart, slightly older in other places. So that's encouraging, of course. Okay. I don't know anything about dying. It's the last thing I want to do. I'm speeding because I have to get there before I forget where I'm going. I don't exercise. It makes my coffee spill. At my age, getting any means sleep. Eat right and exercise, die anyway. I'm retired. I was tired yesterday. I'm tired again today. At my age, happy hour is a nap. Goodbye tension. Hello pension. Right there? All right.
Don't expect you to put that pension.
Live each day like it's your last. One day you'll get it right. And here's a couple of laughs. At my age, the only thing that gets hard is my heart. I've been diagnosed with CRS. Can't remember. The only trouble with retirement, you never get a damn day off.
No, you don't.
All right.
I'm sure Jeannie will see to that.
Well, I could, yeah. Okay, so, what? You're retiring? You gotta be kidding me. Why now? What are you gonna do? You're an institution around here. You know, I've got all kind of reactions from all the different people around here. So, friends, colleagues, family, thanks for your presence today as I, yes, retire from Metro. I knew it was time for me to retire when I was being referred to as an institution. To me, an institution connotes two things, both negative. Either you're dead or about to be committed to one. Actually, my last two vacation trips helped to convince me that it was time to be retired. Jeannie and I spent a wonderful Labor Day week visiting Mount Rushmore, and I really fell in love with the city of Rapid City, South Dakota for the summertime. And my recent 2-week trip to China, to the land of our parents, was the best of all of my 5 trips in China to date. Note, I said today that I plan to spend more time there, and maybe pretty soon. I have an opportunity to teach English as part of a Christian missions trip to teachers of English in July or August this year. Haven't really decided for sure. I'm not too much into preaching. The most I've ever preached is at funerals and memorial services for deceased friends and relatives. My favorite scripture for those such occasions seem to be appropriate for my retirement as well. From Ecclesiastes chapter 3, about the mystery of time, from Solomon. Y'all heard it before. There's an occasion for everything, and a time for every activity under heaven. A time to give birth, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to uproot. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to tear down, and a time to build. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to throw stones, and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace, and a time to avoid embracing. A time to search, and a time to count as lost. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to sow. A time to be silent, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for peace, a time for war, and a time for peace. What does the worker gain from his struggles? I have seen the task that God has given people to keep them occupied. He has made everything appropriate in its time. He has also put eternity in their hearts. But man cannot discover the work God has done from beginning to end. I know there is nothing better for them than to rejoice and enjoy the good life. It is also the gift of God whenever anyone each drinks and enjoys all his efforts. I know that all God does will last forever. There is no adding to it or taking from it. God works so that people will be in awe of Him. Whatever is, has already been, and whatever will be already is. God repeats what has passed. Right? So it's all about God's timing in my life. I came to Metro when I had just gotten laid off by the U.S. Department of Energy, DOE, at the end of August 1986, after 21 plus years of federal service as an auditor. Like the rest of the folks being laid off, I've been scouring the employment ads and sending out resumes. I wasn't in a big hurry, and I even considered a job move to Sacramento, California, but Jeannie wouldn't have any part of that idea. I spotted an ad in the August 3rd edition of the Houston Chronicle for a contract auditor 3 placed by Metro. I said, Metro? I didn't know they had an audit function. Why would they need a contract auditor? So my first contact with Metro was pre-Metro, or the HUTRAN days in 1975, when the buses didn't run and the air conditioners didn't work. I even bought myself a folding chair, camp chair, for the times there were not enough seats available. Those experiences led me to form a carpool in the 1975-76 years until I got transferred to Greenway Plaza. My next contact was about 1982 or 1983, when I used to go to 500 Jefferson to pick up books of bus tickets for various federal agencies. Somehow, the DOE was doing all these orders for all the federal agencies in order to get the 10% discount offered to businesses back then. You remember those days, don't you? Yeah. To me, Metro was Abe Smith or Calvin Washington. Those are the two people I met. I come get the ticket from them. So I read the ad and almost fell out of my chair. It described me and my experience, background, and certification to a T. My old experience from 1967 to early 1975 with DCAA, Defense Contract Audit Agency. I was exactly what Metro Audit was looking for, so I sent in my resume and felt very confident about my prospects. Within 2 or 3 days, Metro HR called me in for an interview. I still recall Irene Mingle was the receptionist and Donna Aldrich was the employment representative. After I filled out an application, she escorted me to audit, where Cliff Billingsley interviewed me first, and then John Fernandez, the AGM at that time. Sam Goebel, the hiring manager of audit contracts, was away in Hawaii since he had won a round-trip ticket for 2 in a drawing somewhere. I felt very confident that I'd made very favorable impressions with both Cliff and John, but they wanted Sam to interview me also when he returned from Hawaii. But I knew in my heart that I was in regardless of what Sam thought. So I came back for my interview with Sam. Sam was a very nice guy, but he kind of floored me with this question. How's your English? I had to bite my tongue before I answered. I said, it's all right. When I went through freshman orientation at Mississippi State University, the advisors tried to convince me to change my major from accounting to honors English program.
That's what you told him.
So I came to work at Metro on September 22nd, 1986. In a very short time, I'd shown John and Sam that I had the expertise to review the backlog of completed assignments that had piled up, about 100 as I recall. By October 15th, Sam had relinquished the contract audit staff to me to supervise, while he and Jerry Carter were to concentrate on the HTC, Houston Transit Consultants contract closeouts. We even hired an outside consultant named Herb Goodwin to help the process. I could sense that John was really pressuring Sam to close out the HTC contract because John had promised the board that they would be completed by mid-1987. Meanwhile, Carrie and I were cranking out the final audit report like clockwork. I had Kerry typing the audit report like crazy, even working overtime, and through lunch sometimes. Some of the nearly 100 completed audits dated back to former manager Jim Woods, who I never met anyway. The auditors included Donnie Parker, Richard Amster, Sharon Cole, Gary Carter, and later Bill McHale, Jeremy Denise. Yes, our very same Bill McHale. John got the 1987 New Year's surprise. Sam submitted his resignation to become the director of Combine and Miller CPA Review Course here in Houston. I inherited the closeout of HTC and immediately enlisted the aid of two former government auditors to mechanize/computerize the overhead schedules, which I used to do by hand with Frieden and Marchand, the rotary calculator. Who remembers those? Not too many of y'all remember those, right, guys? The late LaWanna Holmes and the old DOE contract buddy George G. were the two people that helped me get these entered into the computer. In fact, we had to go to next door to OMD to use their computer, and nobody used the computer back even then in '86. I was shocked, you know. That move really enabled John and me to facilitate the overhead closeout. Again, timing. We federal auditors were already familiar with Lotus 1, 2, 3 since about 1981-82 time frame, right, Jack? We got those back then. Our second daughter, Amanda, was born on February 6, 1987. The office even had a very nice baby shower for her. Was it just for the mother or for the baby? Okay. John and I took off for the West Coast on February 15th to do the closeout and to negotiate the final rates. And we were gone for about 2 weeks in LA, San Francisco, and Oakland. Amanda's not able to be here today because she's in Dallas, about to graduate with a master's degree, and she's also studying for the board exam. Yeah, in a couple of weeks. She's majoring in speech language pathology. Anyway, let's get back to the trip to the West Coast. On this trip, I got to introduce John to Dr. Spock, astronaut Admiral Alan Shepard, former Major League pitcher Les Kane, and comedian Avery Schreiber. Needless to say, John was stunned and dumbfounded each and every time. The West Coast trip was a resounding success. He even took me to a boxing match in Oakland. I applied for the vacant manager of audit position, which was advertised nationally in the Wall Street Journal. There were over 60 applicants received. It came down to two candidates, me and one of John's Exxon audit team colleagues named Bill Parks, who just happened to be from my very own hometown of Cleveland, Mississippi. How crazy is that? Imagine that. And I even knew him as one of my younger brother's classmates, you know. John, by that time, had recused himself from the interview, and I was interviewed by Saul Barr, Marion Hunt, and Director of HR, Don Benson. I was chosen because I wanted less money, and I was already on board. Again, that was timing, because we have a rule that you got to be in your former grade at least 6 months before you can be promoted. Is this still around, or is that still true? I don't know. Florida. Again, it was God's timing when it came to hiring staff. I called up Simon Lichtenstein at DCA to see if he was willing to come to Metro to help me train a new staff, since he had trained me in the years 1969 to 1975. He said, just tell me when to report. That's what he said. Cy came in June, Sam came in July, Rob came in August. Donnie was already here. McHale joined us in October '86. Sam had hired him before 80 came on. Jerry McHale left, and Gary Lincoln was with us for a while until Tebow took him to treasury. and we also had Brenda DeWeese. When I came to Metro, I felt like I had found my family after being a gypsy auditor for 21 plus years. It's a very different feeling to be part of a permanent family and office. I owe a lot to John Fernandez in many ways for hiring me and then promoting me to manager. John allowed me to do things I never imagined, to be a part of the IIA, Institute of Internal Auditors, Houston chapter. He let me shine on various committees and the Board of Governors. He encouraged me to be in United Way's Project Blueprint. I was in the first class. I always tell people I'm always first class. So that was in 1988. And Leadership Houston. He sent me to Dale Carnegie course. And he sent me to Northeastern University to learn about transit management. So John really taught me a lot. Marvin came along in 1990 and allowed me to continue the outside activities. And he supported my trip to the White House in May 1991. Marvin sent me on the special assignment to Community Outreach Department in July 1999 and June 2000, where I put all of that Dale Carnegie, United Way, and Leadership Houston experience to good use. I made about 100 appearances and more than 75 speeches to various groups all over the city to promote our light rail. Some of the people were even hostile to me and Metro, and they still are. And I want to thank Martin for that. Tell Martin when you see him. So I owe a lot to Sid too. He was my consultant on a lot of audit issues and personal issues when it came to my house and car problems. Marvin was good at that too, because I bounced him off the boat. So my work is done, and again, it's God's timing that I enter the next chapter of my life. I've met a lot of great folks here. Metro Audit has been the most professional group that I've ever been a part of in my whole career. I want to thank you, audit family. I'll miss seeing you on a regular basis, but I'm still listed in the phone book. No cell phones for me. Just send me an email. Let me read the last verse from this chapter, verse 22. I have seen that there is nothing better than a person to enjoy his activities, because that is his reward. Okay? I really do feel like I have won the lottery here. And if you know the pension system, it's just like a lottery. You can take it up front in a lump, or you can spread it out. So when I showed Jeannie the payout for 20 years, she said, that's the one I want. Okay, so I'll no longer be Bobby Moon, CIA, CFE, CGFE, but it's rather going to be Bobby Moon, CCC. Cooking, cleaning, and cutting. God bless you.